Ladies. Whoa, come on. Chill, my friend. Everybody. Fireside Chats, episode 2. We're back for our impromptu season 11 recap of RGL 6's invite. I am Siyo, and I got my co-host with me, Mr. Jamani Jaman. Jaman, can you take it away from me, my friend?
Yes, sir. They like to call me Jim and Jamussy Jesse J Blizzy. You know how it be, baby. Listen, man, listen. We got some goats around the table. We got some of the best this season, and we also have Dank. No, I'm kidding. Yo. No, chill. Nah, but we got some best of the best this season, man. We got some players who are currently all every single one except probably Jarrett in here playing invite currently. Some in playoffs, some not in playoffs, but regardless, we still got them at the table, and I can't wait to go ahead and tell you the people that we currently have at the table right now, Jay. Not to mention Jay himself is on the face cam this time around. Jay is no longer just sitting behind production, eating Lay's chips. Man is just vibing, doing his thing, man. He's doing his thing, man. But listen, coming in hot from what you see on your screen. If you're looking at the top left of your screen right now, you see TM06's very own demo, Sleepy. How you doing today, my brother? Doing?
What's up, Jamon?
Hey, you know how it is, man. You know how it be. We also, in the middle, right next to Sleepy, to the right of Sleepy, we have Froyo Tech's own Romer. I almost said pocket. Romer. Yep. Donovan. How you doing today, Donovan? How it be, man?
It's good.
Yeah, love to hear it. And then right next to Donovan, we have Anglerfish's own. The clip man himself, 7th place champion, Giblert, aka W Bacon. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, pretty good. You're feeling good after getting my 7th place ring. Gonna, my retirement match. Gonna hang up my jersey retirement ceremony later in the show. So watch out for that.
Oh, I can't wait. The classic LeBron celebration of classic. And then right under Sleepy, we have 3D3M's very own Dank. How you doing, my brother?
Yo, what's good, your money?
Hey, you know what they call me, your money bunny, aren't they? They don't call me that one. But you know how I be player. And then right next to Dank, we have RGL's very own casting personality, one of the biggest right now, Jarrett. How you also doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. What's up?
Hey, man. It be. And then right under Jarrett, besides me, to my left, right, directions can come later. We have Grape Juice coming in from the current playoffs team, the Covenant, the Romer, the Juice Man, the third himself. How you doing, brother?
Up your money.
Yeah, how it be, player? How it be, man? And listen, this is just like my co-host CEO already said, man. We got the round table going ahead. Got some great stuff to talk about tonight, fellas. Got some great stuff to talk about. What we got to talk about, Jay? You already know, man. What we got to talk about, player?
Bro. All right, we gotta get off the formalities here. We gotta talk about what is coming up for you tomorrow, which is Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got some RGL Season 11 Invite Playoffs coverage. It's coming at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing on Fireside Cast. We're going to be doing, what is that? Number 1 seeded G6 versus the number 4 seeded GPG. And my good host here is going to be casting with somebody who was supposed to be here originally. He's gone, but he will be missed. Mr. Wild Rumpelstiltskin. They're going to take it away. And then we're going to probably take the lower bracket round 1 after that. And then on RGL side, Jarrett, confirm with me. You guys are doing it. Our number 2 seeded Fireside versus number 3 Covenant with Space Ghost. I'm assuming he'll be there tomorrow. Hopefully.
Yeah, he should be. Yeah, that we're doing C2 and 3 and then probably uppers as well.
Yes, sir.
I think that's gonna definitely be the match that takes most of the viewers, because we can go into that a little bit later though in the invite playoffs preview.
Oh, it's gonna be the Mirror Man, Pav. That's for sure.
No, that's a fact.
Sure. Oh,
that's
man.
a fact.
Mirror Man streaming the entire thing, which is unprecedented. That was his stipulation for subbing. Right, Donovan?
Yeah, let me see how much time he has left, actually. Right now he has 4 hours, so it's dependent on if he gets dubs, so go sub to Mirror Man if you want to see him. Oh, shit.
Whoa!
Tornado alert.
Mirror Man's coming in hot.
Tornado warning, let's go.
Bringing up a storm.
Mirror Man is bombing Donovan.
Yeah, so, yeah, go sub to Tyler. Yeah, that's more of the story.
Everybody who is not informed, twitch.tv/MirrormanTF, I think, right? Donovan?
Correct.
Or is
yeah.
it Mirrorman? Okay. Yeah, make sure to go sub for him. He's doing a subathon, and then he'll be streaming the playoffs from his POV. It's going to be a good time to see, get some inner knowledge of invite teams' comms, and just, how they synergize and coordinate with each other. And then I think Sunday, it's just all RGL. Fireside cast is kicked to the curb, just like we've always been. No, I'm just kidding. And RGL will be taking away the lower bracket finals, and then they'll take the grand finals from there. Is it still a one map advantage for the grand finals BO5?
Should be.
Okay, because I know for Highlander they do the bracket reset or the match reset, and
Yeah,
do
they play
another
like
BO3.
they play like a whole another week if they need to. I think that was like voted on at some point by like the invite players. Like, can we just do one map advantage, not reset the whole bracket? And then it passed and it's been like that way ever since.
And we could actually segue that into our first discussion of the podcast, the Banny config. So for main players, and I think advanced players, it's their first season, and intermediate players actually, it's their first season on the progressive, the Unity rule set, Banny config, however you want to call it. Invite though, it's on its second season, so I kind of want to throw it to the invite players. Better change than compared to the 1/2 or the 2/2 rule set or config. What are our thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm not paid to say this, by the way, but yeah, it's I think it's better. It's more fun. Makes it seem like a actual esport.
Esports, it's fun. I like the fast-paced gameplay more. I don't know. It's I know a lot of people still like 2/2s, and they like the halftime. They like to get to slow it down, and they like to get to take the breather. But you can still pause. And I know when it got tried out at Fullerton LAN a year ago, people were using pauses. I know my team paused a couple of times at that LAN, and you just get to talk, and then you just go again. So yeah, I don't know. I think that perfectly fills the halftime void, and you play half an hour, you go at it the whole time. You can actually win. You don't get fucked if you're down. Like if you're down 4-1, you can still come back. It's not impossible. I think that's pretty cool. And you have to like close it out and win 5 rounds or whatever in 30 minutes. So yeah, I like that.
I think too. Oh, sorry. Go on. Go on, Dank.
I'm a big fan of it. I like that it forces teams to play to win instead of playing to not lose. Like you just have an advantage and you just kind of sit on that forever. You still have to like win the game if it's 3-3 or 3-2 or whatever. So I like that it gives that kind of comeback mechanic. It can make games kind of super long sometimes, but I think that's kind of fun too because the tension builds the longer you're playing, and then if you finally get it, it's like fuck yeah, it's like euphoria.
Yeah. I just hate it in scrims. Donovan, tell Banny to suck me.
Yeah, it is fucking AIDS in scrims.
It's so terrible in
I
scrims.
think
man.
it's
Dog
fun
shit.
in
I fucking
scrims.
hate
I
it.
love it in scrims.
I hate it, man.
Yeah, because you have more time to go spy. Of course,
Yeah,
I love it.
we pregame you guys. You get 50 minutes of your map, 10 minutes of our map, bros. I hate that shit.
I get it for a pregame, but like for a whole night of scrims, I'd rather play the single half.
I think a big proponent of it too was fixing what E2 of 2L's config was, where it's currently just like 30 minutes straight up, and then if push comes to shove, there's golden cap. And I think it kind of ruins the only big problem with that config is where if a team is significantly up, that they're just gonna park the bus for the rest of the game. And then with this one, there's always a chance, and the team just has to actually fully close it out by actually winning the round. And some teams also try to take advantage of the 30-minute rule set by if they are towards the last and they've wiped and they can spawn camp, they'll wait until the regular time is actually expired, and then they'll actually cap to finish off the match if they're in the lead, which is actually something that we've seen a few times this season. I believe Furtek has done it a few times during some broadcasts.
We would have done it if Walrex didn't fuck up the config.
We can talk
I think
about.
teams just need to get used to the pauses. Once people start actually using the pauses more, I think it'll flow well for like pretty much everybody.
I think people got too used to like there'll be a halftime. If we need to talk about stuff, it'll be then, and it wasn't like in their mind to really like, all right, 15 minutes left, 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left for them to recognize like that you need to supplement like the tack pause then, or you're not going to have enough time to actually implement anything. But when people will get used to like, it's ingrained in your brain to actually check that clock and see like how much of the match is actually over until you hit that infinite overtime. it starts coming in quicker. People get used to it more.
Yeah, I think for sure that like one thing that helps is like if you know like just tell your team beforehand, like if we go down like by 2 rounds or something, that we're gonna pause and take attack pause before like it's out of control. Because even like with the old config, if you're down like 3-0, at that point it's already like almost too late to come back at that point. You really would ideally be making adjustments sooner than that.
And not just from the player perspective too, but when you look at it from the production viewpoint, specifically me and Underscore, we've been doing majority of the production in Dolphin too. It helps that, you know, Looster 200 used to produce for TFTV, and he's also said like, you know, if there was a time to produce TF2 and not ruin your sleep schedule, it would be kind of this season or the last. It would have been great to start back then because for us, we can at least anticipate that unless we're casting a 3D3M match, dang, you know, we will finish before midnight and we will have a good bedtime for those who don't procrastinate on sleep. So for us, it's really beneficial. And I think Underscore can reciprocate those sentiments. And even from the old casters like Dreamboat, Marxus, and Row, they've casted for us a few times this season, and they said it actually feels more competitive, less stalematey, and it makes it more enjoyable for them to cast. And it was just like a pleasure for them to experience it for the first time and just try to figure out, oh, the little quirks about, oh, wait, even if 30 minutes have gone by, they still have to try to finish up by winning one more round for the team that's leading, or they just have to keep going until the win limit is hit. And it was really great for them to see, and it was nice for us to see that on the production side. So big change that's for a positive for at least North American TF2.
I will say that never fucking use that config again for a map cup. We played the last map cup and nobody knew how to play the fucking maps. So there was like 10 round resets per game because no one knew how to sack, no one knew how to push, no one knew how to do fucking anything. So like a theoretically 30-minute game would go for like 50 minutes. And not only that, RGL decided to put like 4 or 5 rounds of like games, a best of 3 series in one day. So we ended up playing for like 8 hours in an online tournament for no prize, no money, no prestige, because no one even gave a shit about it. So whoever's idea that was, fuck you. But aside from that, after I hated the config
fucking
like after
passionate.
that, but after playing it this season, I actually do really like the config, especially the 4-minute timer. 4-minute timer is a lot nicer than the 5-minute. Because as mentioned beforehand, the 5-minute timer just meant you wait 5 minutes before the round reset and you play another mid fight and then you win mid and then you stalemate mid to second and nothing happens and you get the idea.
Yeah.
So from my perspective as a medic player, I like the time limit because it means I don't get to sit there for 9 minutes or 5 minutes waiting for a sniper to hit one shot on me. And then
Definitely.
you just get to go back to mid. But also I've noticed there's not really a lot of downtime. Like you don't feel it as much when you're in game. Like a lot of my previous seasons, you just get to this point where you're like against their last, and it's like Snakewater, Gully Wash, and you can't break into it, and you're just sitting there for 10 minutes. And as a medic, like all you're doing is staring at the wall or like staring at your teammates, fucking buffing people, and hoping your sack worked. Whereas now it's like half the time, if our sack, like we basically have enough time to sack twice or 3 times, and then we trade or like go for like a more risky play. So I feel like it changes the pacing of a lot of these games that I've been playing, and I don't know. I prefer that kind of gameplay to sitting around and waiting.
I agree.
What do you guys think of the 3-minute versus the 4-minute? Because I know at the LAN, the Fullerton LAN, they had the 3-minute timer instead of the 4-minute.
3 minutes was way too fast, and even to an extent, I think 4 minutes might be a touch fast.
The shorter the better, in my opinion. I love having to play the game.
3 minutes, I think that there's a thing to be said about like fast gameplay with the shorter round timer. The shorter round timer also just incentivizes round reset culture, which is pretty slow and kind of boring. I know you get your mid fight and you get to maybe get fast paced gameplay off of that, but I think the optimal play shouldn't be to sit and wait for the mid fight if you're under last. Personally, I don't really agree with that. I wish it was like a little bit longer. So that way, yeah, I don't know. There's more time if you're the defending team, or like there's more time where we're on the back foot and they can just like beat us right now. So we need to push out. We need to get on the second now, so that doesn't happen. Versus sitting around. Oh, and now we're on mid. And worst case scenario, we can, I don't know, still hold second, maybe, or maybe even get. I don't know. I don't like round reset culture a whole lot, even though my team engages with it quite frequently.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It feels like 3 minutes is pretty easy to hold if you're really committed to not pushing out at all. But 4 minutes is kind of like a shaky middle ground where it feels kind of sketchy that they have a lot of time to try a lot of things during that time.
If you wait too long, it's like if it's too short, it also leads to a situation where if teams are just like honestly making mistakes, trying to push each other's point, but not actually taking it successfully because of whatever reason, then you can have genuine gameplay that's going back and forth like in between each other's chokes, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, surprise, it's mid-fight time because neither of you actually succeeded at all, despite action was
Yeah.
actually happening.
Or you just get in a situation where it's okay, it's 30 seconds left. We need to take the shittest Uber of all time, or else nothing's going to happen. And that's also just bad if you're the attacking team.
3 minutes probably is too short of a time for some more stalemate last holds. Specifically, Snakewater and Gully Watch should have seen more of a park of the bus and try to go for the round reset because of the progressive rule set. 4 minutes is already cutting it too much. And if you take into consideration the lower divisions, who need to take more time to actually formulate an idea of how they want to sack into last or like into more choky points of the map, like it's just probably too much. I thought 4 minutes for us from a casting viewpoint was enough for us to parse what was going on and just analyze and actually like get a good idea of why it was justified to make certain plays and whatnot. And 3 minutes just led to utter chaos. I think when me and Delta Market were doing the production or casting at Fullerton Lane. So moving on though. Jamon, did you have any other thoughts?
Oh, no, play. Sleepy. But I pretty much agreed with most of what Sleepy was saying. So I was like, ooh, I got my brother up here saying everything for me, man. I'm chilling, man. They're chilling up here.
I think this is going to be one of the favorite parts of this podcast, specifically talking about, this new generation of TF2, where we have gone away with most of the recycled higher tier players of Invite, and we've started having newer players come in, specifically from the advanced division in recent seasons, and some have even gone up from main if you look at Insect Gang's Hannah and Melanie, but there's new teams coming up, staying together for a few seasons, and my question for you guys is, how do we feel about the current skill gap between the top of Invite and the lower end of Invite? Do we perceive it to be like getting worse?
It's
or
large.
do we think that with time, if we give these teams a few more seasons, if they actually do try to stick together, because there's the whole thing about Invite team dying, new players recycle and try to create new teams, then the cycle repeats. What are we thinking about here about the skill gap? Do we think that there's any newer teams, maybe Grape Juice aside from your team, who kind of has a few fresh faces that can close the gap between top two teams, which is Fireside and G6?
I don't know. I just think the skill gap is pretty large, and I think if there was more Invite teams that are like traditionally like Invite players playing an Invite, the skill gap wouldn't be as large because there'd just be less of those like main move ups and like advanced moves ups, like you said. I think I don't know, on the topic of these teams getting better. I mean, you stick them in Invite, you keep them together for a couple of seasons. Yeah, they're going to be mid-Invite teams, and they're gonna fill the gap effectively. Yeah, but one season of all three Invite qualifiers team making it, it's not exactly like you have three qualifier teams all making it because one dropped out or like one Invite team died or something like that, and that increases the skill gap. So I don't know. So there's that, but yeah, I think they're all capable of filling the skill gap. It just takes time. They just gotta keep it together,
Can confirm, we had a weekly with G6 on Monday and Covenant on Sunday. We got mega skill gapped by a lot.
In terms of DM or just overall team synergy and coordination, though?
A little bit of everything, but yeah.
'Cause, I mean, G6 is understandable, but Covenant, maybe there's... Because you had two really good scouts on your team. I think the only question mark for your team, which we can go into later, was the Demo Man.
And on our best maps like Snakewater, maybe we could like get some rounds on Covenant. I think we got like a round in our match on Villa, but
everyone got a round on us. I don't think we fought with a single team other than Dreamology.
Even then, it still felt like there's still a pretty sizable gap between like even us and like Covenant, which is like still like a tier below like the Pro U G6.
Yeah, I think there's a big disparity easily between like top invite, like sort of middle of the pack invite, and like low invite. I think all the low invite teams are pretty comparable to each other. The mid ones kind of just beat out the lower ones, even if they have close matches. I usually think the mid ones are 90% going to win that game. And then the top ones are just kind of like Froyo G6. Everybody knows kind of how those matches go. As far as like people getting better, I feel like the style of play has kind of shifted, at least like as far as no, I'd say it's shifted in general in Invite. Because playing Froyo like season 7 Invite, it was they had Jay and Mirrorman and like those sort of players. And it felt like they were a lot like slower, more pressure style, like methodical sort of play. Like they would kind of just shove you out of the map and like you just couldn't play. And if you stay too long, you would just die. Now it feels like they just kind of bomb you and their entire team walks and it's just like monkey strong together and you just kind of explode if you like don't have DM to like manage that. That's how it feels now. So the game feels different. And I think it's worse, but even the top teams are doing it now, so everybody's kind of like adopting that play style, I feel. And a lot of times you lose if your DM just doesn't hold up.
I think you're actually a good case example, Sleepy, because you and the formerly Astrogen took my homie, now TMO 6 core, have been together for the past 3 seasons. You've only made minor changes with Xanda exiting and Scream switching from Soldier to Scout. So for you
Thank
guys, it's been a
God.
gradual rise. I mean, you had a few mishaps this season. I know because from talking to Pablo about it. And for you guys, you had a few close matches this season against the Covenant and Termbology and 3D3M. So it felt like, had you had not ran into those issues, you guys were just seeing a slow but upward trend in terms of your team standing within the division. So at least from my perspective, it felt like you guys are slowly getting there. But like but after the Covenant and 3D3M, like the skill gap widens, both in terms of individual and team DM, or team synergy. So
I'll say every match felt like we were like rolling the dice. It's I think it's kind of because a lot of us have like been friends, like we've known each other for a long time. So at least in terms of like my team, there's not as much like grind, demo review, 6-man, like how we're gonna do this strat sort of execution style stuff. So I think while we get better every season, it's at a lot slower pace than like other invite teams, for example, which is why sometimes we have really close matches or like really hard matches against like teams like Anglerfish or 3D3M and Goblin Bite Zone. So I think that's the case for like my team. I can't speak for others, obviously.
to segue into that, we could actually probably throw it to Jarrett because RGL had actually done a few matches from the lower end of invite this season. I know you guys at RGL had done some of the Goblin Bite Zone, some of the Anglerfish, I think you did one Insect Gang match. I think that was the Insect Gang match where they beat Goblin Bites. No, I think it was the one where you beat. No,
It was really
honestly
early
Test
on
Net.
process, I think.
So from your perspective, from seeing everything from a bird's eye view, what is your opinion in terms of the skill gap for the lower invite teams?
I mean, the skill gap is always really bad because usually mid-invite is the place where the most competitive matches are because unlike the lower and upper halves of invite, you don't have a wall on one side where there's like no one to punch down to or no one to punch up to. You actually can have a much wider variety of teams that you can play against and have like some sort of back and forth happening. And when that gap is right, kind of in the middle, it kind of makes an artificial wall. It's like, oh no, all of a sudden that's not a close game you would be having anymore for both sides of it. But luckily, despite that being true on paper, there was actually a lot of really close, like 3-2. Like I think this is the season that probably has even if it's not an upset win, it's like hyper close between adjacent placed teams and probably years, which is very good considering the circumstances that the season was kind of put under with the amount of like new blood that gets put in, and you're kind of like not sure what's going to happen to the end of the season. So I think all things considered, it probably turned out better than expected.
I think too, we could probably name a few players. Some players that stood out to me for at least their second or first season of Invite. I'll just run down the list of what we have in the agenda. Specifically for me, in my own opinionated viewpoint, I would say Sax Averted from Thermology just really stood out to me. I felt like they just had really solid seasons. Rafame on 3D3M, Dank. I don't know what your opinion of him is, having been his medic, but I thought like it was crazy. he was middling around in advance. Like this guy was like playing with Jaguar in the past, and now he's like here in Invite. He took a break like last season to play in Maine with Bulk Detonator State of Mind, and then he just made the jump up to Invite without actually having reached the upper echelons of advance. And then it just seemed maybe it was like a revelation in the stars, but he played pretty well this season from having casted his matches at least. So
Listen, because he has no platform to defend himself right now. I'm just gonna say I made him.
He dies to sticky traps a lot.
That is true. This is a fact.
My team laughs at him when
But
it dies to a trap.
no, I'm okay with it because it means I'm not dying to it.
This is true, yeah.
going down further in the list, I think we can talk about GPG a little bit here. Jimmy and Piniferous. I swear to God, Piniferous just cycles through like 7 weapons per match. Like he just runs through every unlock in the list. But Jimmy, I was surprised. He actually had a solid invite season. I felt like his survivability in a lot of the matches, it felt like he was a well-seasoned invite medic. Just seeing him play, and he's only in his first season. I guess those days of playing PugChamp have really molded him into the player that he was. Any thoughts on Jimmy?
From PugChamp to Prodigy,
Banny,
the Jimmy legend.
Banny told me he needed to play for a low open team, and he took it to heart, and he became an invite player.
I remember Sin. We're asking Sin for tips because we got molested by Froyo as expected, and so we had a match with GPG coming up, and he's saying, "Yeah, don't bother like really forcing anything for the med because Rocket King's really hard to kill." So, good job, Jimmy. Justice for Jimmy. Hashtag.
Justice for Jimmy, man. Yes, sir.
We can. Goblin Invite Zone. They just had a misfortune, an unfortunate season.
They had a rough season.
They just had a rough season. There's not really much to say. And even same could be said for Insect Gang. They were just a revolving door of players coming in and out. And it didn't help to start that their best possible player on Scout, Shining Star, just couldn't commit to the season due to school issues. So Insect Gang, it was still a great learning experience for Melanie and Hannah, who were making a very big jump. It reminds me, I don't know if you guys remember the Reflecto, Faust, and I forget who else was on the team. Shiloh back in ESA. They made the jump to IM.
Hooligans for hire.
Yeah.
Hooligans for hire. They made the jump to invite. They got absolutely smashed, but I honestly was amazed or impressed by the fact that they actually committed and grinded the whole season and managed to not die. And this was kind of the similar case with Insect Gang, but they kind of just had to play it out with roster troubles, whereas with Hooligans for Hire, I think they only had to swap out Faust or Reflecto towards the end. So props to them for staying together.
Yeah, I think there's something there also with the Hooligans for Hire, and the team staying alive thing that I was saying earlier, where I was talking to Phantom after that season, and Phantom said to me I never want to play ESA IM again. I just want to play Invite because it's it's fun. You just don't want to go down because you're literally being pushed to your limit every night, and it's fucking fun. So
really.
Yeah, it's fun, man, and that's where that improvement comes from, because you're just chasing that get 5-0'd by G6 high every night or whatever, you know what I mean? And then you just want to keep going. So I think there's some tie in there where Phantom did never go down to advanced again because Phantom improved and never had to go down again. Whereas I know Millie really wants to play advanced. I know she's kind of begging for that advanced season.
It was
especially after getting the beating invite.
See, that's actually how Deadly Seed felt from Goblin Invite Zone, because the original thought process was, he kind of got tired of playing advanced for so long. It wasn't really his thing, and he wanted to give Invite a go, especially, if Tomato Tom hits you with the hand, you can't say no. At least that's how I feel. But I think it's important, at least to me, when we think about certain players from Goblin Invite Zone, whatever, man. When thinking about players from that team in particular, Deadly Seed was one of the people that actually, even without bias, whichever it is, he's one of the players that really stood out to me more so because he's the type of person where if he's getting shit rolled, every single game for whatever it is, as Grape Juice said earlier, he's getting a high off rate. He's trying to figure out exactly, what can he do better to make his mechanics, his gameplay, any aspect of his scout gameplay altogether better, so he can just go into some of these next games and pretty much, try to dominate as best he can. Guarantee with the season record they had, I think to my knowledge, if asking him again, it's a little bit unfortunate due to his real life priorities that he couldn't play as much as he could have. But
An American hero, that's it.
Yes, sir, man. It's more so along that line of if he wasn't on the Boingo internet, which is what his internet is currently called right now. Rip to bands with the Boingo, man. But he definitely would have been one of those players that would have just strived amongst the season as the season progressed. Guaranteed with the team as the record is showing right now. I think it's important to at least highlight players, especially like that, because even though the record shows that they are inevitably doing bad, that doesn't per se transmit to how they're doing personally, because we could transfer him on a different team and he doesn't have Boingo internet, and all of a sudden this dude is the LeBron James of that team. You know what I'm saying? Altogether, it's important to highlight players like that. At least that's how I feel. Now, Buff Banner Alexandra.
We're talking about that.
Buff Banner's goated.
Yeah, Buff Banner.
I think Underscore has a clip too. Can we run that? The banner clip from
Not the
Alexander's.
process one. Oh no.
Well, he's fine in the clip, I want to say. I think Invite is a great testament to the mental of players. Like, if you go to Invite and you get, like, shit stomped by Froyo and G6 every night, like, those are just your scrims, then if you can't handle it, like, you get weeded out pretty fast. Like, you'll either burn out during the season or after the season, you'll be like, I never want to do that again. And then you just, like, perma advance.
Oh.
It's the ultimate team killer because it's where people get tested.
Yeah.
I think the biggest person to go to for this question is actually Donovan, because Donovan, you concerning the gap from advanced and invite, you had played on 1738. You had been rostered on a few invite teams in the past, but you never actually played. You played on 1738. I think you played like a scout for a few matches, but that's where you got your first invite win, I believe, on scout on Snakewater against, I believe, the bottom team of the division, Invite Hostages.
Was that the one with the sandwich hedge with the sandwich air shot? That was crazy.
Yeah, actually, I think I got a soldier win before a scout win, but I had more scout wins that season than soldier wins.
Fucking beast.
And it's crazy because you had been middling around in upper advanced, chilling with your soldier duo Riro at the time, and then you got popped into Froyo Tech while Bandy's doing trials. And I remember talking to you about it, like you were pretty excited for that moment. From your perspective, really, what is the biggest difference between playing soldier in advanced versus invite? I mean, the pace is generally faster. That's a guaranteed, but it must feel very different from having played with the agency.
Yeah, it's very different, but I think the gap between advanced and low invite isn't as big as people make it out to be. I think the gap between low invite and playoffs invite is a lot larger, like infinitely larger than the gap between high advance and low invite.
And for you, it's kind of like a jump in the water and hope the sharks don't bite you, because you got propped into tryouts that included like teams such as Malax, G6, and whatnot. It was kind of crazy, just going against teams of that caliber just so swiftly and abruptly. I mean, you got the tryout, but can we run that before that? Can we run that clip of Alexandros? Underscore, I think you're ready with it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, this is.
This isn't even the one I remember.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the other one.
He was
I was expecting the sunshine one.
I'm so sorry.
Run it again. Overtime.
He survived.
I shouldn't say anything, man.
It was battalions, though. It was battalions.
Space Maker.
You know what I think about this clip?
You got their attention.
What I think about this clip is, why don't teams run do more methodical stuff? They build up the banner.
With the 4 minute time, it's kind of tough. It's like you kind of have to commit to it, and it takes like a minute or two off the clock.
It's actually a decent amount of teams that ran battalions, but it has to be like the right time and the right last.
Because I was gonna say, like, if you're able to build that battalions very quick, like, it could make stacking into last more successful, because then you could use that battalion's backup damage debuff to get a better sec, especially against a
You
team.
normally go for like an Uber exchange and then a repush with a banner. But again, if you're running defensive banner, it just like stalls out the time even more. It's just another thing where the optimal play if you're on defense and you have the banner is just to blow the banner when they push in and try and reset the round.
Yeah, I'm usually the one that would play banner on my team, and we only did it holding last and while like on certain maps specifically. Otherwise,
Or
we didn't
against
find the
maps
value.
when we're holding the banner on last.
Well,
Got
yeah,
the
but
banner.
yeah. Well, I would always run it on Snakewater last because I'm always holding that lower door and getting damage off. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So let's go over our recap of season 11 invite underscore. If we can pull up the standings, I think before we go into the playoffs preview, we just need to talk about the teams that unfortunately didn't make the invite playoffs. On the RGL standings page, you could see from 1 to 8, or how many teams were there this season? 9? How many teams actually did
10,
make
I think.
10.
10? So this is actually one of the hugest turnouts for invite in a while. I remember back in, I think it was season 2, season 3, we were struggling for more than
There's like 6
six.
teams.
There was like a
Seven.
6-team invite, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That
And
was
then I think
the
a team died midway through.
that was the infamous Div 1 and Div 2 season though. Around that time, season 2, season 3, that was the quirky little split. The RGL, we just were like, oh, let's try it out. Let's see how it is.
I think they should bring that back.
I don't
Maybe
think
not
they
this season,
should.
but
Oh.
like in the summer season where there's a lot of teams, I don't know. I think it's feasible.
It's really it's dependent because it really comes down to the amount of invite like qualifier teams that really want to sign up, people who want to play invite alongside matter, but it's really it's dependent just really on that because there's not really guaranteed we have a lot of players that come for the summer season. I'm mostly thinking of just main players that are coming back right now because I know a shit ton of main players are going to come back and play. Shout out Andrew, man. Shout out the GOAT. But realistically, because like advanced, all through historically, spring seasons for advanced and invite haven't really been too nice. So for a spring season to have a really maybe really healthy is an exaggeration, but a healthy invite season is kind of rare, especially people who are very very committed to playing and they refuse to die. We've had a couple close calls this season, but regardless, they finish out the season strong. So it really just comes down to that. But I mean, shoot, there's been some talks of some people trying to come back, so maybe we see some change. You never know.
Okay, so let's quickly run down the teams that didn't make playoffs, starting from the top. I mean, we'll start with Thrombology first. So this team, they originally had Wonder on Pocket Soldier, and Cadet was on Pocket Scout main calling. And then I think midway through the season, I don't know what happened to Cadet, but he wasn't on the team anymore.
Yeah, he
They
got
replaced
cut.
him.
He
Okay.
got cut.
Yeah, he got cut. Yeah, we don't got.
Yeah, we know this.
They played with Speedy one scrim. I think Cadet wasn't there, and they really liked Speedy synergy, and it just kind of melded together. There's really not too much.
This is like the 4th time he's got cut, so it's nothing unusual.
I think it's a calling issue, or at least it was this time. That's what I heard.
Which is kind of crazy because Cadet is kind of known to be a good caller, but just not as good in terms of DM. And then they switched Wonder to Pocket Scout, and then it's like a light switch just turned on in them, and Wonder just pops off. Maybe it's a revelation because I've never seen that guy Pocket Scout before, but he absolutely shredded. I believe it was GPG on process, but that's
Dude
how
goes fucking
matches
crazy
cast
on
it.
the Kovacs. Dude goes crazy on that sniper class. That's all I'm
that's a
gonna say.
fact.
Like when he was doing good on Scout, it didn't surprise me.
Wonder
That's
plays more
a fact.
Kovacs than TF2.
That's a fact. That's a goddamn fact.
I also think M17 is onto something in chat, but I'm not gonna go beyond that.
Yeah.
No, M17,
What do you
right?
mean,
Cadet makes
kinda?
Cadets some whack shit sometimes. in the game.
We don't
Y'all
have
never
Not gonna lie.
heard, y'all never heard
That
of
has strong
Kadoober
opinions
before?
about his calls.
Bro, I coined
okay.
that in advance.
Look, I'm just saying, the only reason I started playing TF2 again was because I joined Cadet's team in the preseason, like his different team, and after like 2 days I wanted to kill myself and I left. And then they picked up Sleepy. They said, we should try out, after like watching a demo review for like 2 hours, they're like, let's Actually, I want to actually after I watched a demo review for literally like an hour and a half with the cadet, it's like actually I want to try out Sleepy. I was like, fuck it, yeah, just do it. I don't give a shit anymore, man. That one scram made me want to kill myself, for real. But actually, I actually really like Cadet as a person. He's a good guy.
Yeah, good guy. Doesn't mean he translates to in game though.
But
But
he's actually like pretty good in game too. But I would
I
never
think
want to
everyone
play
should
with
try
him on a
medicing for
team.
cadet at least once. It's an experience.
Some people
did.
just have negative synergy.
I did. I already know. I already
Yeah, Cadet has negative synergy with everybody.
That's a good duper.
Good dude.
Bro, I typed that in like whatever season that was when Juicer won. Like I typed that. I can't count it how many fucking times he would take a solo Uber in, kill a soldier, and then his combo would wipe each time without fail. Like that was like every single fucking Uber, and I would just like lose my mind at what he was doing.
It's like a baby sandblast Uber.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
it's like a
Sandblast
Sandblast
without
light.
the aim.
So,
Man.
Crimbology. They finished the season 9-9. They actually could have made playoffs with the trend that GPG were having towards the end of the season. I mean, GPG had Crimbology not actually lost their match versus 3D3M all the way back then in like week 2, I think it was a 3-2, 4-3 match. And then I believe they almost defeated 3D3M again in the rematch. And then Grape Juice, I know that they almost beat you guys again, like towards the end when it didn't really matter. Matches
All I'm
didn't
gonna
really
say
matter.
is I hate snake water. we won 5 3-2 matches in overtime. 4 of them were on snake water. I hate that map. Never want to play it again.
We don't talk
Anyways.
about it. We don't talk about snake water.
Continue.
Yeah, speaking of that, you better do your pick bins, Juicer.
Yeah. We got commissioner.
Okay, here is if a Shakespearean tragedy could be made into a TF2 team, it would be 3D3M. Originally starts off with Mobsy on Medic. I believe there was like a loss to the Covenant it was the Goblin Fight Zone. That match, that was a cursed match. We don't want to talk about that match. It's kind of like written in the dark history books of Walrex's TF2 career.
Nah, we gonna talk about that one. That's a Deadly Sea Magma dub right there, player. That's a Deadly Sea Magma dub right there.
Broke he broke his 45
Magma broke
loss
his curse. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a historic moment in Team Fortress 2 right there. We cannot ignore that game.
Scratch was doing the count last night. He thinks he counted it up. Magma's like 3 and 54.
Yeah, they get something like that.
But
Hey
this
man,
I
still
feel like-
3.
I feel like Paul Doug is such a tragic character if TF2 is literature, because this guy, he always ends up on the most unluckiest team every season.
Just another shite season.
I remember, he was on Global Clan Fire, he loses to Sleepy's Estrogen Took My Homie, the team utterly collapses from there. And
Yeah,
then
that was
this
crazy.
season, he ends up on 3D3M. He has to play with Mobsy Medic, who kind of just lost confidence, from what I've heard from talking to a few teammates. Like, if she ever reprises the scout role, I hope she gets more confident, because I swear, like, I always thought like she was an up-and-coming player, to say the least. But then they switch in Dank, who is on the podcast with us. I think Dank did miss a few matches, though, but towards the end, 3D3M kind of found their stride. They ended 9-9, and then the penalties hit. The penalties for Rap Fame server.
Walrex's server.
Walrex's server.
Walrex's
It wasn't
server.
Graphim. This was all Walrex's doing.
Sorry, I was wrong with that. It was Walrex's server. I almost forgot. Walrex's server has 4 minor penalties associated with it, and then it turns into a major penalty. So even if 3D3M had not lost that match to Goblin Fight Zone, with the way the trend would have been going, I think that penalty would have actually costed them playoffs.
Honestly, I feel like from watching them this season, if they got Dank earlier, didn't have the server stuff happen, they could have genuinely like found a way to get in 4th seed.
Yeah, because let's think about it. The 2 matches that would have decided between them being 11-7 and 9-9. Actually, there's 3
It was the
matches.
earlier match. They had like 2 upset losses before Dank was on the team.
3 matches. It was
they beat
2...
Frimbology twice as well.
Yep.
It was TMO 6 that they lost to. They almost beat the Covenant, and then the Walrex config issue happens. And then, yeah, Goblin Fight Zone. We can talk. We already know what happened there. They actually, Grape Juice, they almost beat your team 2 times. Both of those matches were 3-2.
Both
on Snake Water.
Yeah,
we're not gonna talk about it. It's Snake Water.
This season definitely could have gone different for 3D3M, considering they were asking me to join at the beginning.
Really?
But I had chosen to play advanced with that aim team. I was on soldier.
Right.
And then I realized that wasn't fun, and I joined Walrus's team after he like begged me to join. He got on his like hands and knees, right? And he's just like, I'll even pay your fees. I'll pay you to join. I'll give you all of our winnings. And I was just like, yeah, maybe.
Wow, Dank, you're so handsome and talented to be getting that contract offer.
Yeah, well,
I agree.
Dank handsome.
All right, Javon.
I think Donovan knows what I look like. I think.
Yeah.
I know what Dank looks like. I've seen him. I shook this man's hand.
Dank literally said
I'm at
they're
the
not
juicer.
ready. Oh, okay, moving on, because we actually only have like 56 minutes left before Grape Juice and Donovan have to run a scrim. So let's run this through a little more quicker. TMO6, a season filled with misfortunes, just like 3D3M. I think they had a few losses that were decided by someone's internet issues. I believe it was Sleepy's. But there were a few matches that TMO6 could have definitely won. And they also had that Mickey Mouse match result versus a 2-ringer G6. And I remember talking to Pablo about it. They're like, if you cast a rematch versus G6, don't. It's going to be a disaster. But that match ended 5-3. And up until G6's loss to, I believe it was Froyotech on Process, like in week 7, TMO6 had basically like doubled the amount of rounds G6 had lost in the season. Like, that's how dominant G6 were up until that match with the Ringers. And it was unfortunate, Sleepy. Any other
technically G6 and TMO6 and Froyo both won the same amount of rounds, so
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know what my point was, but yeah, sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. So next up we have Mr. Giblert's W Bacon's Anglerfish. Has the beautiful, majestical, great mage who legends say is probably the greatest TF2 scout to exist. I swear, I hear this guy.
Definitely the greatest mage of all time.
He has a group of fanboys in the chat every time an Anglerfish match is casted. I swear to God. They had Ali, great mage combo scout, or scout duo. Romer was Tristan. Pocket was Zia. So if you like a very relatively raw invite team, and then they had Giblert. I already talked to Ali about this. Golden demo, and then you were medic. And I talked to Ali about it. She said that were you main calling for the team?
Yeah, I was main calling. Golden also makes a lot of calls, but I was like technically a main caller for the whole season.
I was thinking about it because you on medic main caller, doesn't that put you in more of a position of risk because you kind of just have to, you're relying on your team call outs for you to make the call.
But see, the thing is, you're forgetting the fact that I'm fucking terrible at Madden and I'm stupid. So I just walk in front of my team and see what's going on, and then I yell at my team to do some stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I got bombed by a single soldier and got 2-shot. I can't believe that happened. Like, really, guys? That's basically what happens. Like, I remember you see in a cast, you type in chat, like, I ran into their whole team by myself, and you're like, why is he so far up? Why is the Giblert playing point? The point is, look, Tristan was telling me yesterday before a match versus Thrombology, he's like, Giblert, he's one of those guys that, the medic I played with the most, but the thing is, like, you're the most infuriating medic, because you seem to die in ways that don't seem possible at all. It's like, I'm not trying to be condescending, but you're like one of those special ed kids. Not even exaggerating, that is exactly what he said before our match. But look, you see, me with the iron mental. Like, other people would be offended. Other people would be like, I took that personal. The other people would like kill the team right then. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You are right. Because I don't disagree at all. Where were we? What's the main question again? I think I
give.
Is all of Anglerfish
on.
just completely unfiltered?
Oh look,
Next
this is.
up.
Let me
Alcohol talking.
Don't let get the bot away from me. Next up, Goblin Bite Zone.
Show over.
We already talked about them.
Show over.
Okay. We have our breathers.
Jesus.
Goblin Bite Zone. We already talked about them earlier. I don't think there's much more to say. An Insight Gang. The crowd favors, the crowd hopes. Even with Dingo on demo, even his super powers on the lock and load were not enough to save them from getting another dub. But
Go demo. That guy's crazy.
I remember talking to
Actually,
Melanie about this team. I talked to Melanie about this team. Like like we mentioned earlier before, she was playing to play Combo Advanced Scout. They played the invite qualifiers. They defeat. I think they defeat Goblin Invite Zone, and they trade
Yep.
maps between Anglerfish, and they qualify into invite because lo and behold, the Mal team that was supposed to occur that season died. So invite qualifiers became meaningless because that team with AZN and Kev and so on and so forth just died. So they ended up in invite. Even then, I still think, like Grape Juice said, it's like the Hooligans for Hire story. They gave it a try. They stuck together despite their tumultuous roster structure, or at least roster troubles with Det leaving mid-season, which, from what I know, was just due to like playstyle conflicts or something like that. But overall, I mean, it was a productive season for at least the rookies and Melanie and Gwen. Or I mean, Hannah. Sorry.
I'm adamant Dingo is ruining a generation of demo men.
I mean, this already happened in like season 27 or 28, where everyone remembers that the lock and low exists, and Domans desperately try to have like any measure of fun in the game, but it usually doesn't last that long because the rollers are pretty useful.
Yeah.
So
Lucrative in those pipes, man. Can't get out of my head.
The land
did
pipes
innovate
too.
he innovated that.
Land Hedgehog Hero the same way with stupid pipes.
I fucking hate the lock and loop. I hope in his dog shit.
No, man, but Hannah did. You know, I think some people were actually doubting Hannah this season, but she actually did pretty well. I'm not
She did.
guaranteed that she really did. Like, she really held her own and kind of gained a lot of experience that other medics, it's like, what if I play invite? It doesn't happen. They try to, or if they try to, quote unquote, they think they can, usually can't, ends up really badly. But no, she held her own, man. She held her own and she did it really well. And I think the same with, it's like the same with the whole team. Yeah, it's the same with Melanie because people, it was. Because, I think originally they were supposed to play advanced. I think Grape Juice said it a little bit earlier. But
Yeah.
I believe, the team was supposed to just go ahead and chill, play in advance, do whatever they needed to do. But, they played invite. They got moved in. They didn't go, whoa, wait a second. We're dying unless we play advanced. They stuck it out. They played invite, and they played really well.
Yeah, respect, honestly.
Oh, yeah, man.
Melanie's been begging for the advanced season. And what happens? You're right up to invite. All right.
And dude, they had the rawest combo because midway through the season, Gwen switches from Pocket Scout to Flank Scout, and Melanie is now playing Pocket Scout with Dingo as her demo and Hannah as her medic, and she's also main calling too at that with Dingo supporting with calls. So it's like she was really thrown into the Coliseum at that point, and she still made what she could of it. And I remember talking to her about it earlier before she said she couldn't make it. She was saying, I went from being a TF2 player who went 10 and 15 on sub 150 DPM in matches, and then gradually, like, I got better towards the end of the season. And like she was hanging around there in the bottom of low invite with the other low invite scouts. I thought she had one of the biggest improvements across the season. Like, we casted the majority of Insect Gang's matches, so I already know from first-hand experience just watching her. She was just slowly getting ingrained into her brain how to play invite.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
once she goes to invite, she'll be better.
I could like tell from we played them 3 times this season, once in quals and like twice in the regular season, and like in the first quals, admittedly, it was like not ideal looking at the statistics to say the least. But by the last time we played them, especially when she's on Combo Scout, she was doing so much better. And like if you look at the logs versus like even the other teams, like the higher invite teams and the scrims and stuff, like she was doing really good. Not really, really good, but like respectable. She's like holding her own, really compared to the first start of the season.
Rakuso feared them this season. He was adamant that they were his hard counter. Every time he 1v1 them, he could not win the 1v1, even with Beam.
That's crazy. I thought Rakuso was one of the best scouts in the division.
That's what I was thinking, and I was just like if this person is just putting Rakuso in the dirt, then something's wrong here.
So, I have 3 segments. We're gonna do a straw poll for one of them. We're just gonna do a roundtable discussion for this. Biggest surprise of the season. It could be negative or positive. Let's go around the table here. Sleepy, what was the biggest surprise of this season for you? Or actually, maybe I should start it off. I'll start it off actually. For me, it was just Wonder Pocket Scout. I never knew the guy was that cracked, but There's a clear day and night when you have a cadet pocket scout and then you have a wonder pocket scout. So that was my biggest surprise of the season. And then he even cemented that with the dub over GPG, but GPG were on a downward trend towards the end of the season. So I don't know how significant that win was, but the fact that he was able to call Thermology back to a 9-9 record to end the season, just absolute surprise to me. I thought Thermology were just for the streets. But Sleepy, biggest surprise of the season for you?
Biggest surprise of the
Aside from
season
your-
for me was fucking losing a Paul Dog. I had 100% win rate against that player for a couple seasons, and this season it all just fell apart. I expected to lose to Anglerfish. I lose to them every season, but losing a Paul Dog kind of hurt.
Donovan. Been quiet for a bit. Biggest surprise of the season.
Gungan getting picked up on G6.
But Gungan's like in that friend group. But
Yeah, it's just crazy to me because of like I guess the gap between where Gungan was playing previously to G6.
Yep.
Especially with their like super powered roster with Habib and Mulvey.
He had like 5th place accolades jumping into
Yeah.
like the best team.
it was crazy. It was crazy. I remember playing back against him in season 2 when I was playing with Sin Karma and Kuku Kachu. Where's Kuku Kachu, by the way? That dude I swore was gonna be the next up and coming pocket soldier to be in by playoffs. Spoiler, he went to university. That's all. But that dude, he was cracked. I wish he came back to the game. Kuku Kachu, if you see this, please come back. Giblert, what's your biggest surprise of the season?
I'm talking about myself because I'm narcissistic, and as I said in the past, I'll only date someone that's like a female version of myself, which is why I've never had a girlfriend. But anyway, that's aside the point. My biggest surprise is, again, like I said, not going 0-20. So I kind of this team didn't really exist in the first place. Like, I thought after I left the cadet team, I messaged Warrex a fake roster because I wanted to sign up for qualifiers, but I didn't actually have anybody that agreed to play with me. Cause so I was like, all right, yeah, these guys, and like half those people didn't even end up playing, and we ended up getting golden demo. We didn't have a like golden demo for the qualifiers. The first match we had use just ringing for that match.
Right.
So the fact that we did not come very, very last. Our goal was to get like 8 rounds, and the fact that we won even a game was a surprise, especially with Giblert Med. So you know, I'm very happy for that, and was very shocked by that. So yeah.
Dank.
It's a toss up, but I think it's that that GPG Covenant match. Just that loss, you know. I think that loss honestly is what probably got them into playoffs. But
That was the one on Sunshine, right?
yeah.
Aw,
I just like
James. Aw.
that match was really funny from a spectator's perspective though.
It was funny too because at the last round, Catface switches back to Pocket Scout. Absolutely has no impact on the mid. Is the last one left alive, and he's chilling all the way on the enemy team second. Tries to flank, dies. I think if I remember correctly. Oh no, he just fell back all the way to last, but he just like had no impact on the mid. And then yeah, they lost. So
Yeah,
Jarrett.
Those are all. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go on, Grape Juice.
Have your
I
thoughts.
was about to say, you guys are laughing it up, but that was like the most stressful week of my entire life.
I know.
You can continue.
Jarrett, biggest surprise of the season.
Honestly, it might be that the Banny Sandblast dynamic is like working really well.
Oh,
They
there
fill
was a lot of
they fill
questions.
the same role as players. They fill the exact same role. So on paper, you'd think that there's going to be like some sort of hurdle that they have to get over, but it's working really well. Whatever problems that they or hurdles they do have to get over, they're just coming out on top a lot of the time.
Grape Juice.
In a similar vein to Dank, that match, my biggest surprise is that my team got better after the roster swap.
Oh, true.
You're
Definitely.
surprised?
Yeah, I didn't know how that was gonna work out. I was like, I don't know. We were like, just get anyone we can, finish the season, see how we do, and then we lost 3-4 to you guys like 2 days after that, with like one night of scrims, and then we eventually beat you. But you know, there's still more of that to come. So
No, there's
the
not.
jury's not out there yet. But yeah, that's my surprise. I was surprised that we got better. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Shamu, fucking amazing. I think AZN's good. I think Sam's amazing. I think you got like almost 3 straight upgrades, if I'm gonna be honest.
I just wasn't sure because I've never like played with any of these people. I'm the newbie there, so
Oh, I think Shamu
that was
only
my
filled in like
surprise. It's my
Shamu
pick,
only
not yours,
filled in
buddy.
for the Metalworks match versus Froyo, and then you guys picked up Exile after, right?
Yeah, Exile.
Oh, yeah, it's
sorry,
Exile, sorry.
Shamu's an old man. His like back hurt, and I don't know. He just like didn't want to play.
Yeah, I
makes
forgot
sense.
it's Exile, so make that 2 straight upgrades.
Jamon, you. Other than Insect Gang.
Honestly, other than Insect Game, probably Golden Demo. Like not even to just BM it or anything. I was not expecting Golden to play demo at all for English this season. I know Use was
I wasn't either.
playing. Yeah. I know Use was playing, or like Giblert said, Use was bringing a little bit, but I really thought this was going to be the season that Georgie kind of hard commit, wanted to play Invite, kind of wanted to just roam and do his thing. And seeing him play against some of the demos that he's played against, maybe I'd say some, not all, back in ESEA, it would have been a treat to see. And then, week 3, I just see Golden Demo, and I was confused, but I didn't say anything because I had hope. I wasn't gonna be that person to be like, oh, Golden Demo, that's a little rough. No, he's someone who can make on the fly nice calls if given the right situation. So it was hope. There was hope there, man. There was hope.
So we're gonna skip a little ahead to the playoffs invite preview, and underscore. Let's pull up that G6 one. We're not gonna actually do any we're not gonna do any of those discussion clips. We're just gonna roll the highlight reel. But let's pull up Let's start doing the playoffs preview. We got 40 minutes left. I think this should take up the majority and the rest of this podcast. If we do have time, we could probably go back to some other stuff like Rookie of the Season. But let's start doing the invite playoffs preview for G6. So G6, really, they lost everybody from their championship season aside from Lol Guy and who was it? Soapy
and Kobe.
And then they replaced
and Kobe. They had Kobe too.
Oh yeah, they had Kobe too. And then so I think Botmo just took a break, Caps 2, and then I'm not sure what the status of Logan is. I don't know.
School or something. I don't know.
University.
Yeah, real life stuff.
So their lineup is Grand Slam, Flank Scout, Pocket Scouts Gungan, Romer is Soapy, Kobe on Pocket, Demo is now Habib, and Medic is Old Faithful and Lol Guy. Really, this team, they came in. Once we knew that Sandblast had joined Froyotech, I'm pretty sure a collective community thought was G6 are just going to win this season. And then towards the end of the season, they lose to Froyotech on process. And whether that be just because G6 wasn't actually scrimming as much as they should be, or, Gungan still adjusting to playing with this level of TF2 and the players around him, and obviously playing one of the most critical roles on Pocket Scout, really leaves G6 with a few questions in the playoffs. I think really for them is, can they beat playoffs Froyo? Because I think Covenant, Grape Juice, from your perspective, I'm wondering how you feel about facing G6 potentially in playoffs should you beat Froyo in the upper bracket, round 1.
Those guys are really good. That's all I have to say.
I mean, their DM supersedes, fills most of the gaps that is lacking in their team play. But I think Marmaloo actually, I remember watching a Marmaloo stream, and it was evident in the G6 versus Froyo match on process. I don't know if you guys remember watching the final round, but this led from Froyotech being on their second to going into last. But Habib walks into second from choke, way ahead of the rest of his team, starts spamming point on top of Spire, and then he gets bombed by Donovan or Sin, one of the two. He gets collapsed on, with Kobe still getting ready in IT to do a bomb, and Soapy still on the rollout. And then after that, G6 pretty much just completely crumble. They get pushed back to their last. That's when the Donovan spy play occurs. Froyotech somehow beef it, but still they manage to hold on and they win the game. And Marmaloo says Habib is kind of like a double-edged sword. His aggression works out 90% of the time because he's just insane DM-wise, but when he gets punished for it, the team can collapse in that moment. is that sentiment something you guys share, or
Come to me.
anybody? Could be anybody.
No, yeah, I think like Habib is when he's punishable, it's a very weak point for his team.
From casting that match, it was definitely a story of like if you have one slip up internally with like your own team, like making sure that you're all together, one person's off by themselves, it just tumbles from there. So I think Donovan can probably attest that like the competition at that high level probably comes down to like the tiniest of mistakes.
Yeah, it's just punishing those weak points.
Sleepy, Giblert, thoughts? Grape Juice, anybody else?
We see about
I
me,
think
bitch.
we had a good
Cool.
match against them. We lost like 3 straight rounds to them on Soldier. We got mid to last in 3, like it was like 3 minutes and like done. But from there it was like a 2-1 in I think the whole map was like 37 minutes, so it was like a 2-1 over those last like 30 minutes or so. So I don't know. We had a close game against them. I don't know how seriously they're taking. I was watching Habib stream after. I was watching the VOD, and they intentionally like didn't cap on a last push. And Wall Guy's like, "What the fuck do you mean don't cap? I don't want to play anymore." So I don't know how seriously they were taking it, but I don't know. It was still a good match once we stopped getting mid to lasted. I don't know. Those guys are really good.
Let's
That's
pull
all
that
I have to
preview
say.
graphic real quick. I had a few other talking points for the G6 roster, Mr. Underscore, if we could pull them up. I think
Sleepy, what did you guys do to get the 3 rounds? Because like I said, you guys had the S11 Pro, you have the most amount of rounds against them in a match.
We had a match against them when they had 2 ringers, so
Skis didn't know it was a match
kinda
until
free.
halfway through, and he had to ask 4 times to make sure they weren't lying or trolling about
yeah,
about
Skis
the
was
match
also a
status.
troll.
one more big anomaly of the G6 roster for this playoffs is Gungan. Jarrett alluded to it a bit earlier, but Gungan, this is like his first real season of invite playoffs. What is the general consensus around this guy? Do we think that Gungan compared to Caps is not, not the same level, but could the team ride and die between the combo of Gungan, Habib, and Lolgai? How much pressure is on Gungan for this playoffs to perform?
We've seen bigger jumps, I think, right? Between like someone going up and immediately like getting into like grand final status as a player. It all just depends on the person themselves and how quickly they can like learn in the new situation that they're in.
I think
Gungan was
Gungan's
pretty similar,
like surrounded by a bunch of really, really talented players. So if he wants to like really try and really learn, like he's in the perfect environment to do so.
And I think too, it helps a lot when you have players that are able to make space and live as much as Soapy and Kobe do. Just the amount of space that they can create and the amount of time that they can manage to have staying alive just opens the world for Gungan to really roam around the map and figure out what fights he wants to take and not feel pressured and getting collapsed on eventually. And I think that's really been the game plan for G6 to play into Kobe and Soapy's strengths as jumpers and also playing with the team, and they just play off of it from there. Because really, it's a recipe for success when you have somebody like Habib 2 on demo who can just capitalize off of that space in such a quick amount of time. But
I think as long
That's
as
just-
G6 can shut down the X factors of all the other playoffs teams, then the division will pretty much go to them. They have to watch out for players like Ed on GPG. They have to watch out for Grape Juice making insane plays from the Covenant.
You gotta
They have to watch out for
look out for
Sandblast just trying to
Kev.
get to 5 people.
Look out for the Kev bomb.
I'm about to
get
say, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for Kev.
Don't get
I'm the
backstabbed by
I'm the one
Donovan.
covering from Kev when he's like, "All right, I'm going for a play right now." I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I'm with AZN now. I guess I'm the pocket soldier."
So let's move on from G6. I mean, before we move on from G6, what is the overall consensus? They are just the clear championship favorites. I mean, there's no question about it.
Grand finalists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's a grand finalist. I'm a bandit. What can I say?
I wouldn't say the championship is
2,000 month
guaranteed, though.
resub.
I wouldn't say it's guaranteed.
Jimmy is about to win invite. All you watch.
Jimmy's getting 4.
Justice for Jimmy.
Justice for Jimmy.
Justice for Jimmy.
Jimmy's getting 4th. I won't allow it.
So let's move on to Prototech. This was a question mark team at the start of the season because Sandblast and Banny like Jarrett said, they're the same mold of players in terms of their calling and play style, but somehow they made it work. Playoff record is 4-2 versus the other playoffs teams. I think one loss to the Covenant and one loss to G6 earlier in the season on Metalworks. Mirror Man. So for those who were living under a rock and just don't check Twitter or follow Banny or Donovan's streams, we have Mirror Man replacing Sin due to network issues. So Sandblast, Pocket Scout, Yum Yum, Flank Scout, Mirror Man, Pocket Soldier, Donovan, Roamer, Demo Man is Banny, and Medic is May. Everybody is pretty excited about the Mirror Man debut for this season. I think his stocks are pretty high here for this playoffs. Anybody see any issue with his integration into the team so far? They've had about a week of scrims. Looks like they've been playing pretty well against G6. And from the streams that I've watched, there was a bit of trouble right before Sin was replaced by Mirror Man. Donovan, I think you guys had lost a few rounds, or like we're cutting it real close against GPG and scrims before Mirror Man came into the picture.
Yes, Sin was playing with 200 ping the entire time, so I can't really say much else besides that.
So one thing that I wanted to talk about for Tech here specifically was I feel like from watching the scrims, a huge X factor for them in playoffs is Yum Yum. Feels like he's a double-edged sword, and I do not remember which invite player I had a discussion with this last season, but when we were doing coverage last season, Tech had lost to one of the teams, and I asked the invite player about it, and they said just abuse Yum Yum on flank. That's the way and then just create an advantage and then just go from there. Do we think that Yum Yum, Sandblast and Banny themselves are just like a huge focal point of the team, but do we feel that Yum Yum's performance this playoffs will be crucial to Tech securing the dub? Any thoughts from anybody?
Yeah, I think Yum Yum was kind of like a problem child, I guess. Sometimes you just wouldn't be doing the right things a lot of the time, but the last couple of days he's just been like unleashed. So if he keeps it up, I don't think it'll be like as close as it was before, or I don't think we'll get rolled very easily.
I feel like if Froyo loses a match that they shouldn't, it's probably not going to be on Yum Yum. He seems pretty stable now.
Okay.
I think I agree with that.
I agree with that sentiment. I think really the big focus here is Sandblast and Banny.
And then how much Mirror Man de-rusts.
I feel like Mirror Man was pretty good. And underscore, we can run the highlight reel as we're talking here. But Mirror Man, I feel like from watching the scrims that they played, it seemed like he was doing okay. Mirror Man, Donovan, any thoughts on how like your synergy with Mirror Man has been so far?
I feel like it's like from my perspective, it's not any different just because of how vocal he is and how concise his calls are. He's very, very easy to work with.
Yeah, when you have a good talker on your team, Soldier's really easy.
Jamond, you've been watching a few of these matches. I want your thoughts on Tech because I think you're a huge proponent of this Mirror Man theory.
Mirror Man theory. I think adding in Mirror Man versus Sin, you ask me, however it is, I'm a little bit ignorant when it comes to knowledge about certain players and all that fact, but I think Mirror Man definitely is an upgrade coming in from Sin, whether by a little bit, by a long shot, whatever it is on that fact. Having kind of like what Jarrett was saying, having Mirror Man de-rust, I wouldn't be too big of a problem. I think Tech is still, if not truly a grand finalist team. I think the synergy that we are going to really see here from Banny and Sandblast is going to be really, really crucial and ideal for going ahead and propelling some of these rounds that they kind of need to convey coming out in the playoffs. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be, it's definitely going to be important, but it's more so going to be I wish someone would stream it from the side of Freyo, because I really would love nothing more than to hear how the comms would be going, especially during playoffs, because I'm just a big person when it comes to synergy.
Didn't someone say that?
Yeah,
Didn't someone say that Mirror Man's streaming it?
Well,
you know what?
He will be if you go subscribe to him right now.
Sub to him right
That
now.
is time up, so go sub to Mirror Man.
Absolutely sub to him right now. I need to hear those playoff
Oh,
calls.
he's got 250 left on his timer, so
He's doing that subathon. He's got to go. Got to go hard.
But I definitely am someone who maybe I'm just with sleepy, man. Maybe the bandits rise up, man. You know how it is, but I really think it's going to be very vital going to see how some of these games will unfold, especially the match coming up on Saturday. I think at least with Froyo Tech, Donovan could probably he can probably differ. He's on the team himself, but I feel it only takes a couple, if not a few mistakes for the mental to kind of shatter. Now rebounding from said shattered mental is not impossible. It's very possible to fix it, especially with a quick tech pause. Like, guys, chill out. We can get this figured out. We can settle it. Take a drink. What is happening? I feel Vanny is someone who likes to utilize that a lot. If there is a problem, ideally with Froyo Tech as a whole, a quick tech pause. Hey, what's happening, man? I need calls. Like, why are we letting X player run at flank? What's happening, man? So I'm pretty excited to see how some of these games are going to unfold on Saturday. Because listen, man, I need those comms, man. I need those comms. God damn it, man. I need them. Need them.
I think Donovan's personal experience because last season everybody remembers the 0-4, or was it the 1-4 comeback versus G6 on Metalworks? So I believe that had been propelled by the Banny tactical pause. So
And they did it again against us.
and that was also on Metalworks too, right?
It was on Metalworks, yeah.
Damn.
The Metalworks factor.
One of
The
those
mental-
maps.
Remember, people, you can pause in RGL. I believe the current rule set is going to be adjusted. It's still in the rule set, assuming it's a 2-half rule set, but I believe they're going to make it one tactical pause per match. So it is how it is. Use it, guys. Use it, guys. It's better than you think. So let's move on, because I want to segue this into Protech's playoffs opponent, the number 3 seeded Covenant. Let's run the highlight reel, Mr. Underscore. Let's run it up. This is the team with a bunch to prove. There's like every player here on this team has a story to prove or a point to make, really. We have, what is it? Flank Scout is Exile, right? Grape Juice? Scratch still in the
Exile
Pocket
Flank
Scout?
Scout. Yeah,
Yeah,
Scratch on
so-
Pocket Scout.
And then Romer's Grape Juice. Pocket is Kev. Demoman is Pissy, or now it's Sam, not Pissy. And Medic is AZN. And this is actually one of the most hyped teams, I would say, in recent times, just because there's so much that's been shown from the team this season. So Kev, I believe this is like his first real season on a pocket or combo oriented role. He's traditionally been known to be a flank player on the Roamer or Scout, and then also Exile, I believe, back when he was on 1738 and Insect Gang or Catgirl Cafe earlier last season, he was on Pocket Scout. He switches to Flank Scout. I mean, no drop in skill, adjusts to the role pretty well. Same for Kev, and actually, I'd say Kev is maybe one of the best. I'd say a top 2 pocket this season. Like, this guy puts out so much damage. His bombs are just so good, and combine that with the synergy of Grape Juice, if anybody remembers the match versus Protech on Snakewater, Grape Juice just made so much space. Bombs towards Saul in the mid, like, absolutely stuffed Protech. And it's been a treat to watch this team, I think, needless to say, Jarrett.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably one of the more visually unique play styles, which is always a great viewing experience. And it's it's probably, I imagine, a little bit of a puzzle for the competitors to kind of figure out how to beat them as well. So probably some it's always a good thing on both sides, one for the entertainment value and one to kind of spice things up.
And not to mention too, we have Scratch on Pocket Scout. Guy played last season with Dank on Mal X. They reached 4th in playoffs, but there was a time when Frotek dropped to the lower bracket round 1 after losing in the upper bracket round 1 last season. We genuinely thought, Dank, that Mal X actually had a chance to send Banny into 4th place. And you guys kind of fell flat towards the end, but
Scratch.
if there was anything to take away from that season, I thought Scratch, this guy, he's just been on an upward trajectory. Like, the stocks are high on Scratch. He's kind of still eats up a lot of damage, especially when you watch the matches. It's just due to his hyper aggro style. I don't know how much he's reeled it in previous to last season, Dank. But any thoughts on Scratch as a player?
That guy needs to play with his medic.
Yeah, we've been trying to reel him in a little bit more. We were doing a map review last night, and we were talking about this one mid fight where Exile was just talking him through. He's like, "Yeah, you're just sitting with AZM the whole time," and Scratch like had to reiterate like twice, like, "So I'm doing nothing on this mid," and we're like, "Yep, you're protecting AZN," and he's like, "Okay, I've never done that before." It's kind of funny to think about, but yeah, Scratch he's really good. He's a really good caller when he's like dialed in, but
He tends to get kind of panicked.
he likes to smoke that Zaw, so he's not always dialed in.
Yeah, I'm about to say he's a very aggressive player from when I've seen him play, which is kind of crazy. What like Dank was saying, he's someone someone who's needing to be reeled in. It just wouldn't occur to me that someone like Scratch is someone who constantly needs to be reeled in. But hey, it happens. It happens, man.
As someone to play on a team that kind of has like cracked the whip to get the team to be aggressive, if you're not aggressive against like Scratch, he will just walk all over your team and run at you and kill you, especially if like your team is at a DM disadvantage.
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely experienced that. On the good side of that, where your teammate does a lot of good stuff, and you're like, yeah, this is good. That makes us a win.
It's just so interesting, like how each of these 6 players on this team just have a storyline. Like even if you go with Pissy or Sam, did Sam ever play anything? Does he even have any memorable invite experience? I don't remember.
He missed playoffs because of like penalties.
Yeah, because Law Guy's name was Cowboy Hat Emoji instead of Law Guy, so they got kicked out of playoffs.
Yeah,
Penalties
got
down.
that penalty.
Was that Wonderwall?
Yeah,
that was Wonderwall,
yeah.
was it?
Caps, Law Guy, Howard for Pissy.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that one.
But also, I think one more person that I want to point out is AZN. This guy had been middling around with the Malcore for like a bunch of seasons, but I think to date, this is his best chance in his current TF2 career to maybe even make it to grand finals. I felt like he had just been plateaued. Maybe it was just due to his teammates, but he had just plateaued, and then he went on a journey in advance, played with Tomato Tom and Goblin Zone, but now he's returned. I think AZN might be somebody that shouldn't be slept on in playoffs. Does anyone agree with that sentiment at all?
Honestly, when I look at that team, I think mostly about Grape and Scratch.
That's a fact.
Having played a season with Grape Juice, I feel like his improvement is kind of insane to see, like playing an invite. Just like the way he jumps around the map, like it feels like he's everywhere all the time, and he like always gets out. He's just playing a jump map sometimes. And then Scratch is kind of like feast or famine, like they were mentioning with the whole Wrangles thing. Because all the matches we've had with them, it's like we lose by a round every time. And then they play other teams that we've like lost to and they just stomp them. So it's kind of interesting how different their games can seem because of how like feast or famine it seems like they are in terms of Scratch, I'd say. I don't really have an opinion on AZM.
This might be one of the closest matches we'll see to ever open a playoff series. Covenant versus Froyotech, number 2 versus number 3 seed. Both teams took a map off of each other in the regular season. It's just even across the line. Even 6 rounds won, 6 rounds lost between the two. Just crazy overall. I think if you have time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, tune in. You do not want to miss that match. That's one for the history books. Let's say that. But we're running short on time. Jamon, we have one more team to preview, and I want you to take it away. It is the number 4 seed, the underdogs, the rookies of RGL Season 11. It is GPG. Run the highlight reel _ Jamon, take it away.
Man, if we're going to talk about the players and the time to be, it's time to see Edward B up in the scene. You feel me?
I love it.
Listen, you already know. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, GPG, a little bit biased. They got some of my boys on this team, man. I got Scarfs, I got Slug Bundle on this team, man. I got some good boys on here, man. There's not too much to really talk about. There's a lot to really talk about. Seeing the progression from actually, if I remember right too, whenever Penny and Ed and a couple other people were kind of thinking about what they wanted to do, especially with this team, it was really interesting to hear that they were wanting to combine a little bit with a couple people from Insect Gang last season. Because I talked to Penny about it, and I was like, you know what kind of made this little collaboration happen? This is something that I'm typically not expecting, or I wasn't expecting. I wasn't kind of expecting this crazy collaboration. This is like, to me, it was like the J. Cole Kendrick Lamar Black album a little bit coming up and straight. Yeah, just a little bit something for the taste bud. But mostly I was really fascinated with the Jimmy pickup and seeing the Jimmy pickup, seeing him in playoffs. Ideally him just playing one time for the one time and his one time to be a big time. Same with Slugmundo and Scars. I was kind of kept away. That being said, we're not forgetting about Penny. We're not forgetting about Ed. We're not forgetting about the Soldier. We're not forgetting about Kyle. It's not our place to forget along that line. But I definitely think this team has upset potential. Guaranteed they're up against G6. It's hard. It's definitely hard. Good Lord have mercy. Oh, just the thought of Habib on process mid. God almighty. Can't do it. But I think there's a lot of potential, especially with this team, especially how some of the this team's also very silly, right? We have Peniferous. I think you mentioned it beforehand. There's the many multi-weapons that Penny likes to kind of pull out with lock and load, loose cannon on last. We have silly Kawa Pyro. We have Ed Sniper, which is not silly. That Ed Sniper is it's a little fearsome in my books. A lot fearsome. And I don't, now that I'm thinking about it too, I don't think I've ever seen Scarfs play Sniper at all this season. Someone in the chat could prove me wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen Scarfs play Sniper once. Maybe 10 seconds she was on the class, but other than that, I've never seen it revealed. So I'm kind of curious what kind of crazy wacky stuff they'll go ahead and pull out for this upcoming playoffs. But there are definitely some highlights, especially there's definitely some highlighted players I'd like to talk. Ed, we already talked about him. We know the guy's crazy. We know Ed is someone, guaranteed. Don't underestimate the guy, because he'll put some numbers up, and those numbers are kind of crazy, man. I'm not gonna hold you, Jay. Oh, we saw the little bit. We saw the little bit last season whenever they played Advanced not too long ago. We saw some crazy stuff come out from Ed and Penny as a whole. So there's definitely some synergy that I think can unfold here for GPG. But I think the biggest hurdle it really is going to come down to maps. At least for me, my whole thing, ideally for G6 and GPG, if it's a map that's more so going to be in the favor of G6, which, higher seeding, it may be a little bit rough, but I think with how some of these players like to grind demo reviews, map reviews, mostly map reviews, to kind of see what kind of plan they can emulate to really go ahead and stop whatever play that G6 may try to unfold. But, I digress. I think there's a lot of great players on this team, but if I had to highlight maybe one specifically, it probably would. It's like a mix, man, because it really is between Ed and Slugmundo to me. Because at the beginning, Slugmundo may be my boy, but I really thought it was going to be a little bit tough for my mans. I thought, the transition from him playing Insect Game to a team like this, I think some people even along the lines thought that GPG was not going to be a team that got in the playoffs. I think it was more so along the line of, this was a team to watch out for. People who, got in the invite, really wanted to grind, really wanted the experience, really wanted to, test their abilities and skills and see how far they can progress with it. So for them to ideally take those skills now and progress to a playoff seeding is impeccable. That's incredible. At my point, listen, if I'm Jimmy, I'm gloating. Man stays humble somehow. I don't man, the money man, Jimmy's staying humble somehow. I don't know how he be doing it, man.
The big question mark for this team in playoffs is, so last season they were the core of Peg Mode, and the Peg Mode playoffs run was pretty much immortalized by three things. One, KJ Quad Ubers. The dude just takes exchanges and he just DMs his way. But it's not the same way in Invite, obviously. The second one, Kawa Pyro. But I remember actually talking to Kawa about it before Grand Finals. They chose not to run Pyro because it was just too readable playing against Rick Rigatoni and I believe Europe Scouts or whatever. And then Peniferous. But this season, we haven't really seen too much of the KJ quad damage. And towards the end of the season, they had faltered a little bit. Like compared to like it was like the complete flip. They started off the season like 8-0, and then to end the season they went like 3-6, 3-7.
They had a lot of like really easy teams at the start, and also a crumbling my team. That's what I'll say. Like you can talk about an 8-0 start, but if they haven't played like all the teams, then yeah, they're going to be racking up a lot of wins.
True.
I think they beat us. I think they deserved to beat us in the state that we were in. But you know, until they play G6 Froyo both times and us for the second time, and play those matches against 3D 3M and like even Thrimbology, like the record doesn't matter in invite until all the matches are played, because again, bringing it back to the start, we're talking about that skill gap. Like the skill, it's not like a major league sport where any team can win any game. Basically, it's like the best players are on G6 and Froyo. The worst players are on like, you know, the bottom teams. I don't remember the order, so I'm not going to pick one at random and be wrong about it. But
yeah,
you know, that's just how the schedule works out. So. That's my opinion on hot starts. It's not a hot start if you're playing all the low invite teams.
True.
It also shows how dynamic your team needs to be in these high pressure situations, because if you get figured out halfway through the season and you don't have a plan B or a way to, you know, keep your opponents on your toes, then you're going to start losing eventually, and that's going to be really probably an important thing we'll see this weekend, because the story of the 4th seed throughout however many years you want to go back is you're probably the worst of the 4 teams, most likely. You're the underdog. If the other team figures you out at all, you lose. So at least the good thing for GPG that's going to work in their favor is they do have a lot of X factors on their team that can make it kind of difficult to play against them sometimes, from what I've seen. But they have to really enable them, because I feel like if they just play standard normal TF2 and there's no surprises like thrown in, they may not get the results they want. So it's gonna really be up to them to put the pedal to the metal and really put something in the works to throw people off guard.
They did try to bash their heads against a wall in picking Bagel in the regular season against G6 and Froitek, and look where that ended up. They absolutely got smashed. Donovan, though, I believe you guys, even with the Sin Network issues, they were putting up a bit of a fight against you in scrims. What do you think their chances are in playoffs as a team? I think it rides on Jimmy, too, because Jimmy's survivability was absolutely key this season for GPG.
Like their chance of what, getting third or getting first?
Yeah, getting third, obviously, or like having a chance to at least contest in playoffs in general.
Hold on, obviously.
I feel like they have a decent chance to beat Covenant.
No.
No.
We win those every time.
Dang, Sleepy. Giblert, thoughts before we go into our playoff predictions?
I mean, for what it's worth, I felt like every time it was like Covenant, we get butt fucked super hard, like 12 inches of cock right up the rectum. When we played GPG, it felt like we had a chance to fight back. We might survive this assault encounter. And, you know, we won like 1 or 2 rounds, 3 rounds, I think. Didn't get 5-0'd, but yeah, I don't know. I think I still got to pick Covenant, all in all, considering those statistics and results.
Well, I think Covenant's going to win, but I think they stand a chance to beat Covenant.
Yeah, I mean, on their best day, maybe, perhaps.
I love the GPG boys, but
I could conceptualize.
I don't think Covenant wins this.
Knowing Scratch, I think going against the GPG, he's going to be like trying his heart out, and honestly, it's pretty unlikely that they're gonna get a win unless like someone like magnificently chokes on Covenant. But going against like the other teams like Froyo and G6, I think it's easy for Scratch to get mentally checked out while he's playing those teams. And so I don't know. If it looks like a dire situation, I think it's just gonna crumble from there. But I think there's still a chance. There's still a shot at making at least grand finals for Covenant.
Well, that's
please give us another third place Spanny season.
So we're running on 7 minutes. I don't want to hold Donovan and Grape Juice for too long. So let's just I kind of just want to have a, first, second, third, fourth predictions for the playoffs. I'll go on first, and I'll start with my rationale. Let's be brief about it because we only got 7 minutes left. Just who you think is going to win and who's going to end bottom last. I think, personally for me, I'll probably just predict G6 wins, and I don't think it's even a hot take. I think Covenant are going to make grand finals, so I'll put them at second, Royotech third,
Hello?
and GPG.
That's actually based as fuck.
GPG fourth. GPG fourth, but here's the thing. Covenant loses the opening round versus Royotech. G6 absolutely shattered Banny's mental in the upper bracket round, and then Grape Juice.
I juice everyone and leave. I grape juice everyone.
Juice everyone and leave.
Grape juice everyone and leave.
Juice.
Come on.
That's a goated take.
What's up, player?
Predictions.
Oh, predictions. I think. See, man, you got me started, man. I think G6 gonna win, and I said I'm a bandit. I think it's gonna be G6 and Freyotech in finals, man. I really think, unless Kev is just really in Sandblast's head, bro. I don't think, man. I don't know. I just think I'm gonna see him at Grands. I think it's gonna be how we see it right now: Freyotech or G6 Freyotech, Covenant GPG. But hey, all I gotta say is I'm willing to put some money down. I'm gonna put some money down that maybe Covenant beats Froyo by chance. It could happen. I'm gonna put some money. I ain't gonna say how much, but I'll put my money. That's how I be.
Donovan, let's go to you next. I mean, you can't really say much about your team, but I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
I
I
don't think Grape Juice gets more than 3 rounds. That's what I think.
Damn, that's a lot of talk, player. Shit.
I'm gonna try my best to make sure I have a winning record against Donovan in playoffs still. That's all I can do. That's all.
Yeah, because every season we played before season 9, you didn't make playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. Or you weren't playing.
Giblert, hit us with a
shit. I think. Well, I mean, I'm a little bit biased. I would hope G6 wins because they fucked us for last 6 weeks straight on Mondays. So, but I do give them the slight edge. Obviously, because of us, the elite practice that we gave them. Then fourth place. I think GPG is going to get fourth. I think they're a good team, but I do think they are a step behind Covenant for you. And for second versus third, I don't know. Let me think. Give me 6 seconds to think. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I think the experience on Furry, especially with the Mirror Man pickup, even though it might take him a little second to warm up, I think Furry's gonna get second. But not a third place Banny season. But it's gonna be second place Banny. He's working his way up. He'll get to the top one day. He'll be a master soon.
Sleepy. Let's go to you.
I think if we're living in reality, it's going to be G6 versus Froyo Grand Finals. But in my universe, I want to see Grape Juice versus Banny Grand Finals.
That's a
Grape Juice is everyone and leaves. That's what I want to see happen. I need that. I want to see a 3-2 Grand Finals where Grape Juice just
I
all
want to see
over the
Grape
place.
Juice in Grand Finals too.
He juices and leaves. Classic.
Think. Let's go to you.
My dream outcome would definitely be Jimmy Grand Finals. Jimmy champion, but
Jimmy.
More realistically, probably G6 versus either Covenant or Froyo. I want to say Covenant, just because my boys are on that team. But yeah, that's my prediction. I think if Grape Juice shows up and he plays his heart out, they're gonna make it to Grands.
I've been known to do that.
It's just
I've been known to show up in playoffs.
That is true.
It's happened.
Grape Juice is a playoffs player.
I am a playoffs player. But I think also if we're living in reality here, G6 for you, and then we
That's
get there.
pussy mentality, man. Fuck
You gotta talk it into existence, Grape Juice.
All right, so we get first place.
Conceive, believe,
so
fucking
the Covenant,
achieve,
the
man.
Covenant, the Covenant gets first place, right? Covenant first place. GPG second place. G6 third place. Froyotech fourth place. Fuck you, Manny.
Oh my god.
That's
Oh
what I
my
see.
god. Oh my
Grape Juice is out for
god.
Alright.
Believe,
Oh
I'm out for
visualize.
blood. I'm out
He
for
said
blood.
Habib bad.
It's cinematic, man. Shut the fuck up, underscore.
He said Donovan bad.
Okay. We have last but not least, Mr. RGL, caster man himself, Jarrett. Let's go, Jarrett. Shut off for us.
I think Froyotech get knocked down to the lower bracket by G6, but then make a lower bracket one and win Grands versus G6. And then Covenant third, GPG fourth.
The conservative prediction. But it's the
prediction.
right one. It's the right one.
It is definitely a boring prediction, but that's how boring predictions work.
And lower bracket runs aren't that boring.
You know, we gotta clean up the pot. It's 10. It's
Could be
10
worse.
PM. It's 10 p.m.
You all know about the Banny halftime talks.
It's true.
Yeah, but we started like 20 fucking minutes late. It was like TF2 scrims.
we should send it off. Donovan, Grape Juice gotta run the scrims. So that really
get the fuck
concludes it
outta here,
for
man.
us. Concludes it for us. You know, I think it's to cover everything that we wanted to, but I think it was a pretty good podcast overall. Can you run the Giblert? Can you run the Giblert clip underscore for audio to end the stream?
It's in Mumble.
Wait.
Oh,
After
yeah.
the clip, I got some shoutouts, so like make sure you running a little bit longer after the clip.
Grape Juice the 4.
Not the clip. No. Please.
Let's run it underscore. Full audio.
I can't keep laughing.
He's getting it. He says. But our champion himself.
Again, the 7th place champion has some shoutouts, really important announcements for the TF2 community after the clip runs, so make sure you keep it running for a little bit longer.
You can do it now.
Okay, I'll run it right now. All right. So first of all, shout out to my upcoming reality game show, the dating show.
Oh my
so
god.
we're looking for eligible bachelors and bachelorettes, especially bachelorettes, because we can't find any women willing to participate in this. Unfortunately, we're finding a lot of men that want to participate, but not a lot of women. So if you are a beautiful or even not beautiful woman that wants to participate, and the Jonathan Allen Ray at gmail.com dating show, please let me know. Send me a message on Discord, Giblert $3041, and I will put you on for 4 hours of bliss. Also, shout out to the Giblert Academy. If you want to get mentored by the worst invite player of all time, I will tell you exactly what to do to get better teammates than you to carry your way to invite and somehow get 7th place, even though you walk into the enemy team face first. And finally, there was a third shout out, but I forgot because I fucking drank too much. You know, that shit happens, man. I forgot what we're fucking talking about. Roast of the players. All right. Ali, you are... Yeah, look, I'm just saying, I won with Eat-Aters. I love you guys. I'm joking. I'm joking. I love you guys. You guys are great.
Take
You
this
guys
man off the
are
airwaves.
great mage. You're the best. Ali, you're the best. Tristan, you're the best. Zia, you're the best. Even though you're fucking high the entire fucking game, Zia. Golden, I'm really shocked at how you've done on demo. That's all I have to say, but you did good at the end. Anyway, run the clip.
Thank you guys.
Straight into right, okay?
Okay.
I'm going into
Go.
I'll listen to right.
Audio.
Dude, oh,
Around 40.
6 start,
Point
point now.
Clip doesn't have audio, I don't think.
Point time.
All piped on left.
I can hear it.
Point
Oh,
time.
okay.
Good job.
Oh, I have to shoot it. Right.
Fuck you! Suck my dick! I'm 7th place! Suck my dick! My cock!
Let's go!
That's the last. There it is. We didn't choke. We didn't fucking choke. Let's fucking go. I visualized. I believe. I conceived. I fucking achieved. And you guys helped too. Thank you.
Oh my god.
I will never lose to Estrogen Took My Home.
Was this a charity loss on your end, sleeping?
Absolutely.
Okay. Donovan, great. Shout out before you guys have to hop off the scrims.
Shoutouts to Marmaloo, shoutouts to Rolling, shoutouts to Cinnamon, shoutouts to Danny Hollow, shoutouts to everybody. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, great. Donovan, shout out before you go.
Shouts to the agency.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming on, my brother. Jarrett, any shout outs?
Shout out to everyone who watched all the casts this season. All you guys for setting up a nice little podcast, and everyone for hanging out and watching, of course.
And thank you for coming on for this podcast. I really appreciate it on a short note, especially since we didn't have Melanie and Rumpus ready. Dank, shout outs?
Let me think. All right, shoutouts to V Patrick and Sri Lanka. Shout out to Mopsy for letting me play the season. Shout out to Mojo the Kid. Shout out to Sniplex. Shout out to Walrex for dropping sub 200 every match. And shout out to me.
Okay. Sleepy.
Shout out to Gibbs for that roster so we could play Invite in the first place. Shout out to everybody on my team except Apathy. He fucking sucks. I hope he never plays again. He's terrible. But yeah, shout out to Jamon as well for cutting his hair.
Oh, what in the hey, player.
We love him, Milk We love him, Milk.
Hey, player, come on, man. Don't be like this, man. Oh, I thought I was done.
Jamon, you're the last man. Run it up.
Wait, no. I got something to say after that. Let him
I
go,
gotta
let him
go.
let
I
him
gotta
go.
fuck away from this.
Man. You know how it is. Shout out season 5 main. Best season of main there ever was, player. Go ahead. Shout out Big Mountain Gaming, people, Tracker, Anna, Pete, Yedna, FU Patrick. Shout out Run That Back. Also, shout out a good night's sleep. Because I'm about to hit that. I'm about to get a good night's sleep. That's a real shout out right there, player.
Thank you. And Giblert, okay, finish it for us. And
All right,
and my mystery.
man. I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say, but look. I was gonna say I have the gaming shoes. Every time I play the game, every time I play a match, I put on these shoes. And now that I'm retired from the game, this is the retirement ceremony. It's over, man. It's over. I fucking forgot what I was gonna say, man.
All right.
I meant to not drink too much, but good job, guys. I'm glad you guys watched. I hope I could be of moderate entertainment to you guys, so good luck. Hope, fucking Jason Kidd, man. He's a questionable coach for the Dallas Mavericks. Texas, 8th round, top 8. Pretty good, but considering, Dylan DeSuit, not in for, the last fucking game. Miami, Mickey Mouse fucking win. Look, I've got a lot to say, but you just end it now. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I am questionable for tomorrow. I don't know where the fuck I'm going, man, in life and in, the immediate future. So, yeah. You know how it is, man.
All right, thank you, Doctor _ We can do the curtain wraps right now. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. See us tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Invite playoffs, day 1. Thank you all.
Yeah, exactly.
See you tomorrow.
Well, GG.
GG's.
Thumbs up.